Oh, this is not gonna be fun. But, you know, somebody's gotta do it. I'm sure there are other videos, other YouTubers who have already made a video about this specifically. And if they have, credit to them. I just have not taken the time to look it up myself before sitting down to record this, because sometimes I get a topic idea and I just ramble about it for 30 to 40 minutes without actually looking to see if anybody else has already done it first. My perspective is not unique. I am not the only person who makes webcomic videos, and I'm probably not the guy you should go to when looking for advice, because all of my experience when it comes to making webcomics is very amateur. I am just extremely lucky that so many people like what I do as much as they do and give me a little bit of a spotlight, so thank you for that. But I want to talk about something that, I didn't want to talk about. And it's not like it's a bad thing per se, but it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to look at it. I want to pretend like that's not a thing that I'm going to have to reckon with over the next few years. Let's get into it. Hey guys, my name is Caez, non-binary artist from hell, Star Wars and himbo enthusiast, trying and failing, but trying nonetheless to make a living off of my webcomic/IP and sharing my experiences with you guys, so hopefully you don't have to make the same mistakes I do. Today's topic, unscripted ramble video disclaimer. I'm going to be talking about why I don't want to be doing Lucky for the rest of my life. And let me break that down for you. There are a few things that you have to consider before getting into the game of making a webcomic. And a lot of times, if you are getting into it for the first time and you're watching a bunch of YouTube videos and looking up, articles and threads and getting other people's perspectives on it, a lot of times you'll see a reoccurring theme, a reoccurring piece of advice, and that would be, don't make your first webcomic your big epic series. And I've always kind of been like, or do it, like what's stopping you? It's a learning experience, and if you want to commit to taking the time to do something, even if it's your first webcomic ever, why not? Here's the thing. The thing that I knew going into this, but when I had to map it out, it really, really hit me. I love my webcomic. I love my series. I love working on it. As of right now, full disclosure, full transparency, I do not do it full time. That's my end game goal with my Patreon. That's why I boost my Patreon a lot. But because my Patreon is primarily 50-50 a commission-based reward system, even working through my Patreon, I am still doing a lot of commissions and adoptables. I am not 100% committed to doing just my comic for my Patreon. I do other things as well. I do rewards, which are commissions. I do adoptables, I do prints, I do polls, etc., etc. So even though my Patreon is completely what funds my ability to make my webcomic, it is not 100% my webcomic. So when I do my work throughout the week, I do custom commissions, which is not even related to Patreon. That is just commissions that I take outside, full price, I do my custom commissions, and then I do adoptables, and then I do Patreon commissions, and then sometimes I'll do like personal art for fun, and then I will do a couple days out of the week, I will work on Lucky, and that's the comic itself. That does not include character sheets, character illustrations, prints, and whatnot in relation to the webcomic. So, and I've made a video about this before. I've talked about how when I started making videos about making my webcomic in 2019, I don't know, I think I got more committed to doing it in 2019. I started talking about how my time was split up and how being the parent of a small child who is not yet in school and not being able to afford childcare, which working from home as an artist is its own unique struggle and blessing at the same time. I hate that word, but it's the first thing that came to mind. It is its own task and its own adventure. It is exciting, but also very demanding. So when I look at my schedule throughout the week, I realized, I have a certain amount of time that I get to work on my art, and then only a certain amount of time while I am working on my art am I actually working on my comic. And it has ebbed and flowed throughout the years. I have prioritized my comic more than my commissions sometimes, and then most of the time I prioritize my commissions over my comic. One day, eventually, one sweet glorious day, because I am, unfortunately, but it comes with the territory, I am not contracted to anybody yet. So most of my webcomic experience in producing a webcomic is primarily through Patreon, and commissions and adoptables make up the difference. But one sweet day, I will be able to do my webcomic full-time, and the reason that is my end-game goal, to be able to just work on that every single day and then take a couple days off throughout the week to just draw whatever the heck I want, or not draw at all. But to do it full-time is so that, well, let's face it, I'm one guy. I'm not a team of artists. Maybe someday I will be able to get my assistants back in the game with me to help me produce these a little bit faster. But as with inflation and all the other fun things that are happening in the world right now, that is not in the stars. But I am one guy. And with my workflow right now, you hear my child yelling in the background as he does, I can only do so much. And I realized last year, because I have always wanted to make more episodes than what I currently make. I've always wanted to. There was a stint back in 2019 where I was doing weekly episodes, and I was really super burnt out. And they were very low quality. They were short. They were not long. They were not good quality art, which, I mean, you know, when it comes to making a webcomic, you have to learn to cut corners in order to produce them at a faster rate. That just kind of goes hand in hand with one another. But I wasn't satisfied with the quality of work that I was putting out, and I wanted to not only progress the story, but enjoy the process and make something that I was proud of. So last year, I came to the realization, I started off 2021 thinking, I'm going to do 2 episodes a month. I can't do weekly, it's just not possible, but maybe I'll be able to balance doing 2 episodes a month and still doing commissions and adoptables and Patreon. Well, unfortunately, that didn't pan out the way that I expected it to, and I ended up going on a little bit of a hiatus and then picking it back up in the summer, and that's when I realized we're going to do 1 episode a month. That's my sweet spot. That is how I can balance the work that I do for my commissions to pay the bills, the adoptables, the Patreon obligations that I have, the reward system, the tiers, etc., etc. That's how I can focus on the work outside of the webcomic and still be able to make what I make as an artist, and also still be able to commit that extra time in the month to working on the webcomic episodes. Which benefited me in the long run, because as I was working on those once a month episodes, I was also going through a rewriting process with the series. Not necessarily rewriting the series in its entirety, but that was when I made the decision last summer to wrap up the first season before the end of the year, instead of extending it past the arc that it currently was on and ending the season at a later date. What are you talking about, Caez? You're really rambling about a lot of nothing right now. Okay. That's fair, as I am known to do. What I mean is, hopefully, eventually one day I'll be able to do this routinely. I miss those days of only doing 1 webcomic page a week and that being enough. But unfortunately, that is not the world we live in anymore. No, I'm kidding. There are so many great series that still only upload. I'm saying that as if like that's the bare minimum, but are still able to upload 1 page a week and be high quality, be good, and push a story forward at a decent pace. And I'm excited for those stories, because eventually I want to do my own series like that, where it is slow paced, you know, just once a week, and not have to worry about making 40 panel episodes every week, every 2 weeks, etc., etc. I want to be able to do this full time because I chose a really big, grand, epic story for my first webcomic. And the unfortunate side effect of that, being one man, one person, creating this series, and only being able to create 1 episode a month, is that it's gonna take me a long time to finish it. And at the current pace that I'm working at, if I get bigger Patreon goals, if I start making what I usually make through my commissions, but through Patreon instead, and I am taking on less work through commissions and adoptables, or people are buying more of my prints, like I find other means of income, then I can commit to dedicating more time out of the month to make more episodes. That's my goal. I don't know if I would ever, not by myself at least, I don't know that I would ever be able to produce weekly episodes at the quality that I am currently making them by myself. I would have to have other people working with me, and I would want to be able to pay them fairly. So that's like big, mega Patreon goals. Like I'm talking like over $6,000 a month, like big, mega Patreon goals. And to some people that probably doesn't even sound like a lot but to me that is a lot, because I don't make a lot as it is through Patreon. I make more than a lot of people, but it's not, financially independent. It's not. And I know that some people don't like when I talk about the money that I make as an artist, but I feel like being honest and being transparent about it is going to help people get over the stigma of like, oh, well, artists should only be making chump change. Like we should only be making peanuts. And that's not fair. I'm all for advocating for artists to be able to charge more for commissions and whatnot. Like I don't necessarily think that's a video. Honestly, that's a topic for another video, for another day. We're not going to talk about that now. But what I mean to say is, for unrelated reasons, I was working on a mock pitch for Lucky. A mock. I'm not going to use it for anything, but I would like to have it prepared because I had one prepared a long time ago, and then I went back to look at it and I realized, no, we're going to redo this and we're going to make it for real this time. Like we're going to make it like we're actually going to send this in to somebody. So I was working on that, and this is after I'd made the decision to rewrite some things. Not necessarily, like I said, rewrite the series, but pace things differently, make some other decisions to kind of rearrange parts of the plot so that it fits into the three season format. And as I was doing that, I realized, yeah, the first season has about 44 episodes. Give or take about 6 to 10 of those, because some of them were split up because I didn't understand how I wanted to pace my comic in the beginning. So a lot of them were very short. I can think off the top of my head at least 3 different instances where I could have combined episodes. And I just didn't do that because I didn't understand what I was doing with a line format. So we can say about 30 to 40 episodes, give or take, for season 1. So mapping out season 2, roughly the same amount. And then mapping out season 3, a little bit more. So we're looking at, over 100. Math is bad. I'm bad at math. Easily over 100 episodes. So if let's say on average per season, I did 40 episodes. That is 120 for the full series, right? Yeah, 40, 80, 120. And if that means I have about 80 left. And if I only did 1 episode per month, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I am physically cringing at the thought of it. 1 episode per month for 80 more months. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, guys. So what's the decision that we have to make here? That's kind of the part of the territory with making a long format webcomic. And a lot of people are going to be in my comments like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. This is the technique that I'm using. This is the format that I'm using so that I can get it done faster. And honestly, great for you guys. I didn't have that amount of foresight while I was starting the series and planning it out. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of the way that I've paced this story, unfortunately, was when I was high on the idea that it would become a Webtoon original, and so then I would be making weekly episodes. So that's 4 episodes a month, roughly, give or take. I was like, I'll get this done in about 3 or 4 years in the bag. And now I'm looking at like a decade. I don't want to do that. But that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. And so I'm sure that there are other options for me. One would be, getting greenlit for anybody and getting paid decent, you know, like a decent amount just to be able to work on my comic every week and make weekly episodes, or at least bare minimum 3 episodes a month would be fantastic. Honestly, 2 episodes a month would shave off a few years. I'm laughing because if I don't laugh, I will cry. Or keep pushing that Patreon and hope that enough people are as interested and invested in me finishing this story as I am. Because I'm only getting older. What am I gonna do? Make Lucky episodes for the rest of my life and then die? I'm not that old. But sometimes it feels like, God, what am I gonna do after Lucky is finished? Maybe I'll just get so sick of it and the entire franchise that I will never ever do anything related to Lucky ever again. I don't think that's gonna happen, honestly. The fact that it's lasted this long probably says a lot about my mental well-being. But when people tell you going into making webcomics, like, yeah, if it's your first webcomic, you might not want to start off with this big, grand, epic story, you know? And also, on a side note here, this kind of is contributed, or the thing we have the episodic format of storytelling to thank, because Webtoon has adapted that like streaming service formatting where they have, oh, here's a season and here's so many episodes per season, like a, you know, Netflix series or something, like a television series. And it works and it doesn't, because it's such high demand for the story, for the amount of episodes that you have to make, and especially if you're like a single creator like I am and you were the only person putting, you know, the majority of the effort into it. Story-wise, I have a little bit of help, and when I say I have a little bit of help, if I'm stuck on a story idea, I'll go bother Mags. But 95.7% of this is done primarily by me. And all the artwork and everything is done primarily by me. And so it is a lot of work. And at the current pace that I am working at, 1 episode a month is what I can manage. Now, I have high hopes. I am hoping, I don't want to put my cart before my horse because I do this often, but I'm hoping that when my little ray of sunshine starts school, I might have a little bit more time in the day to work. We'll see what happens. I would recommend that if not, okay, so let's just stop here. And I just want to say, please do not interpret this as me saying that you should not do your big epic webcomic story that you've been thinking of. Please do not. And if you did want to and you start mapping it out and you realize, oh my God, this is actually going to take me 5 to 10 years to finish, don't let that discourage you. I think that if I had known, this is kind of scary to think about. When I first started making Lucky, if I had known that this was going to take me as long as it will take me. I'm 6 years into this thing. And I have like 8 to 10 more. At the current pace that I'm going at. I could probably cut corners here and there, honestly. But I just want to make it what I envision it to be and have fun with it. That's kind of the experience. Like, the journey is going to be so exciting the entire time. But if I had known when I first started conceptualizing the story and the characters back in 2015 that it was going to take me about 14 to 16 years. This is a very rough estimate, and this is like worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. I only do 1 episode a month for the rest of the series. Yeah, that'll take a while. But if I had known, I think that would have intimidated me so much, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have started it. And that scares me to think about because so much of my artistic and creative identity is wrapped up in this series and this story. And I know that that's probably not healthy either, but I love doing it so much. And I love the people that I have met through the series. I love the opportunities that I've gotten through this series. Maybe not so much job opportunities, but I've gotten to be involved in a lot of different things that I probably never would have if people didn't know me as, oh, you're that one guy that does YouTube videos and you make that webcomic. I love Lucky. Like, how many times now, I just want to say that there was a time when I was making art and I thought, one day, it is my dream that people will recognize me from my webcomic and not my fan art. Now, there are still days where I used to be really embarrassed by this, but I'm at the point where I don't care anymore. There are still days where people will find me on like TikTok or something and they're like, didn't you used to do Homestuck? And I'm like, yeah, that was me. And that's fine, but the majority of people who find me are like, oh, you did Lucky. I love Lucky. It's my favorite webcomic. Oh my God, I didn't even know you were on here. Oh, I found you. I've been reading Lucky for the longest time. And it's like, that is such an incredible feeling. Not because like it boosts my ego or anything, or I'm like, of course, thank you so much. Like, oh, of course you know me, like you know who I am. But more of I made something that has reached so many people across the world. And it's not, I always compare it to Lore Olympus because like that's like the big name of Webtoon. And again, Rachel, I love you, it's fine. It's no Lore Olympus, it's just another Webtoon Canvas series, and it's probably not even, it is not even one of the more popular Webtoon Canvas series. It's just not. There are a lot of people who still have no idea what Lucky is, but the fact that so many people recognize me from that versus the fan art that I made, it's what I wanted, and I'm happy. Like, I'm so grateful for that. So there are times where I sit and I have to reckon with the fact that, yeah, you're going to be doing this for a long time. And it's your job to really push yourself to try to find ways to make this faster. And it's your job, I'm speaking to myself in third person, second person, whatever. It's your job to boost your Patreon so that you can prioritize this over your commissions. Like, that's your job. That's what you got to do full time. You got to figure that out. And it does stress me out because it's like, is this going to be the rest of my life? And I know it's not. I know realistically it's not. But when you're somebody who has been used to, let me get personal real quick. When you're somebody who's been used to not living in the mindset of, well, what are we going to do next year? What are we going to do next year? What are we going to do 5 years from now? Because you are always just kind of sort of feeling like you had pushed past your expiration date. Feeling like you were on borrowed time for the majority of your adult life. That might be a little too dark for some people, but if you know what I mean, you know the feeling. It's hard for you to think too far ahead in the future. So when you sit down with a project like this and you start thinking, yeah, this realistically, if I continue this eight, God help me, if I continue this one episode a month for the next however many years, for the next 2 seasons, it will take me exactly 8 to 10 years. Exactly. That's a big gap, but you know what I mean. And that's a huge amount of time if you feel like you're still on borrowed time. And I'm working on that. That's what therapy is for. We're trying to get out of that headspace. But I want to connect, or I want to at least get this message out to people who are in similar situations that feel like committing to a project this big, is it worth it? Is it worth it? And I think asking yourself that, the only person who's going to be able to answer that is you. And then you have to decide for yourself what makes it worth it. For me, I will not lie and say that, oh, it doesn't matter that a lot of people know what Lucky is now, or that it got a lot of subscribers or a lot of fan art or anything. Like, that definitely helps in my case, because I've been putting my art online since 2010. And so that's 12 years that I've been putting my art online. And so I've kind of conditioned myself, which is not a good thing, but I have kind of conditioned myself to expect to receive that external validation. And it's like, I don't want to depend on that. And I did depend on that very, very, very heavily for a long time. I don't do it as much anymore. There's a big part of me that still struggles with that. But I tried to kind of transition over to the mind space, the headspace of mindset of is it worth it even without the external validation? And it is. And my definition of that would be, am I telling the story the way that I envisioned it? Am I enjoying the process? And am I proud of the episodes that I have created? Because one of the most satisfying parts to me as a creator with making this series is I have been thinking about these scenes. There was a period in 2018 where, again, we're going to get really personal. I was really struggling. And my closer friends can tell you that was when I was going through some really heavy postpartum depression and anxiety, and I was not getting a lot of sleep, and I was really struggling. I didn't have a lot of time to make as much art as I wanted to. I wasn't really working on the comic, but I found this sort of sanctuary in conceptualizing the story and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the lore and the characters and whatnot. And so there are scenes that I had started working on as early as 2018, and that might not feel like it was that long ago. That was like 5 years ago, guys. 4. Like I said, I'm not good at math. But it was a while ago, and to see those scenes be realized, to finally get to the point to where I'm drawing these scenes. I've drawn those scenes. Like the season finale, I did rewrite some of that. The bridge episodes before the season finale, I've been waiting on that since 2018. I have been waiting to do that, and to finally be able to do it, I was like, I was so happy. And then when I did the season finale, I had kind of rearranged, like I said, I rearranged some of my plot to kind of better fit the format of the 3 seasons that I had planned out. And so there were scenes from the season finale that I didn't plan on doing so early. I had planned on doing them way, way later. And so I pushed them up to the season finale, and it felt so good to be able to sketch them out and, you know, draw them and finalize them and realize them and to see them and then publish them. And yes, the external validation of all of my readers and patrons seeing it and commenting on it and getting excited about it with me was its own high in and of itself. But to be able to, even if I was sitting like alone in a dark room, which is what I do most days, even just sitting by myself and making these stories just for myself and only myself to see, and maybe a couple of my friends, I would still think that it was worth it, because I'm making something, like I am making this world and these characters, I'm bringing them to life, I'm creating them, and I know that like they're not real, it's fictional, it's just art, it's just storytelling, it's not that deep. But coming from my point of view as a creator, being able to create this, all of this out of nothing, just things that came out of my imagination, yeah, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. What would make it worth it for you is the question at the end of the day. Lucky might not ever become like my great financial success. Like I might just, my dog is whining at the door because I won't let him in. He's just gonna have to sit there and cry about it. I'm fixing to walk out there anyway. He's fine. My big financial success as an artist might be something else completely unrelated to my webcomic. I might not ever get great fame and success and recognition for making Lucky. And I would still do it. I will still do it until it is finished because I love it. I love making it. It's just fun. Is it an obsession? No. No. It is just fun. And if you're not having fun with the story that you're making, you might not want to commit 5 to 10 years to doing it. So, I don't know, self-reflection. I don't say this to scare anybody. It's just one of those things that like, I don't like to look at it out of sight, out of mind. If I don't have to look at how many episodes I have to do for the rest of the series, I don't have to think about it taking too long. But I don't want to do Lucky for the rest of my life. So, like I said, it's my job to find ways to make this go faster and to see if I can get it greenlit by anybody. or see if people just want to support me on Patreon so I can do more of it. The collection episode, the pilot episode I did, I was just waiting for an excuse to do it. Somebody basically commissioned me to do that. I don't know if I said that when I did the promotion for it, but Swifty Fox on Twitter /Tumblr/Instagram, I think, long time supporter and friend, sent me a significant donation on Ko-fi, and they were like, just do something with Sleek. Like, just do something for you, bonus points if it's Sleek. And I was like, I have been waiting for an excuse to make this pilot episode with Mags' story. Would you be okay with that? They were like, hell yeah. So somebody basically commissioned me to make a full episode of the collection. Like, I didn't just randomly have free time to do that. It was a commission. So, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but unfortunately, we do live in a world where we can't just make stuff for free. Which, I mean, I do still make a lot of stuff for free. But in order to find the time to make those things for free, or at least make it free and accessible to most people, I have to find ways to make money off of it, which is what Patreon is for. Because this is my job. And I keep underselling myself. Like, I keep like playing it down like, oh, this is kind of like my job. Like, oh, this is just kind of what I do. Like, no, this is my job. This is what I do to pay the bills, and I work my ass off. I get up, good news. I started waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning again. And it's been a few weeks now, and I'm really proud of myself because I fell off the wagon an entire year. And that did not feel good. So I've got my morning routine back, and I'm excited about that. But I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I bust my ass all day long, making art, commissions, adoptables, promotional stuff. And not only do I have to make, commissions, and not only do I have to make the art, I have to promote it, like I have to make sure that I'm publishing, or I made Stranger Things fan art for the season finale because I had to draw Eddie because gender. And it came out really good. I was really excited. I was like, hell yeah, so good. And then I had to find a creative way to like make a TikTok about it. Like, I couldn't just post it on TikTok. I had to find a way to like make content with it. And it's like, you have to do all these different things. You have a million different jobs when you're creating art and promoting yourself online. And like, this is not anything new. This is not anything that anybody who has firsthand experience has never, like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, obviously you know that because you've been doing the same things that I've been doing. But I don't know why I went off on that tangent. Oh, I was talking about how in order to prioritize making my webcomic, it has to be my main source of income. And even though I do get like creator rewards, I don't know what it's called anymore, but like ad revenue through Webtoon. I forgot the website. It's not a lot. I even checked, like, the total amount of money that I've made through Webtoon since 2018, which was 4 years ago, was about $600 total. So that would cover my grocery bill for the month, maybe. That's it. 1 month of groceries I have made off of Webtoon. And yeah, that's including stuff from my child and my dog. So, Patreon, like I always say, it's the best place to support small creators like me. We also have things like Ko-fi and print shops, which I don't boost as much as I should. I should probably use my Ko-fi more because I should probably be posting stuff there like I post on my Twitter and whatnot, so that people would follow me there and want to support me there. I forget that it's like a place where not only do you accept donations, but like you can actually post your artwork there and take commissions. Like, it is a full-blown platform for that sort of thing. So that's on me. But if you haven't checked it out and you want to, you should go check out Ko-fi because, Patreon is one thing. I think that you have to I got grandfathered into having Patreon for free because I've been using it since 2015, consistently, nonstop. So I didn't have to pay for any other plans because I launched or soft launched back in 2015. But if you don't want to have to pay to create a Patreon account or whatever, subscribe to that in order just to get people to subscribe to you, I think that you can use Ko-fi for free. They do offer like a gold membership where you can do other things like offer commissions, etc., etc. I tried that out for a little while and then I decided it's not going to work out for me because it feels like I'm trying to manage Patreon and then mini Patreon 2.0. So I can't use it as like a backup Patreon right now. It's just too much all at once. So just a recommendation, if you want a subscriber-based platform, that's a good place for artists as well. Patreon isn't the primary place for people to receive support from their supporters. So I don't know, like a little boost right there. I'm rambling more than I should. It's one of those days. But I wanted to make a video while I still had the chance. Next week, probably no videos for me because my birthday is coming up. And then the week after that, I think it's going to be, well, we call it Chris week, but Caez week, which is basically I take a week off for my birthday to just draw whatever the hell I want. So we'll see what I get up to. It will probably be more sleek. I don't know. I had a week off in December and it just turned into Sleek Week. We'll see if I do the same thing for my birthday. I don't know. Or I might just do some fan art. I really want to draw Reva. I love her so much. Okay, well, I'm gonna go and you can leave comments if this is something that you have been thinking about. If it's daunting, if you're like me and you realized, oh, I signed up for way more than I could chew, or I bit off way more than I could chew, then let me know, because like it can feel overwhelming at times. But also, if you not signed up, but if you made the decision, like, yeah, I'm going to do this long format series, and I'm going to stick with it, what made you decide that you want to commit to doing that? In your opinion, from your perspective, what makes it worth it to you? Because like I said, for me, making the series and realizing, like, putting the ideas that I have had for years and making them actually happen in the format of making the comic, like seeing these scenes on the screen for the first time, to me, that makes it worth it. And then also the external validation. But you have to find a good balance between the two, because there might be days where you get none of the external validation and you have to, pull from within. And it's important that you know how to do that, because if you can't and you only rely on the encouragement of others, then you're going to feel really lonely sometimes, because you're not always going to have that. But yeah, or if you are making a long format series and you know it's going to take you forever, but you figured out a way to make it go faster for you, I would like to know. Please tell me how. Because I am talking like making 40 to 50 panel episodes once a month. I think that's roughly maybe 2 to 3 pages a week, I think. I don't know. But let me do my promos and I'll get out of here. What are my promos? Oh, if you like what I do and you want to help support my dream of making my webcomics full-time, please check out my Patreon, because eventually I want to be able to do this full-time so that I can get it done faster. Please and thank you. If you want to follow my day-to-day, you can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, all under Caez Hell. And if you haven't yet, go check out my webcomic Lucky. It's an LGBT sci-fi drama. Pride Month is ending today. And if you haven't checked it out yet, that is a crime. But go check it out. It's a lot of fun. And if you've already read Lucky and you haven't checked out the spinoff yet, go read the collection. It is by Mags, drawn by me, and I love it very much. It has my favorite character of all time in there. Please and thank you. All right, guys. Well, I will catch you in the next video. Bye.